Have you ever seen that Russian defector Yuri Bezmenov? He detailed the Soviet Union's plan for the moral decay of the United States by introducing Marxists and Leninism into school. Marxism and Leninism into school. Marxist and Leninist ideas. And that these would be ingrained in younger people, and then they would go into the workforce, and then they would slowly but surely ruin the society through this. And it's a fascinating conversation because it's in 1984 that he's talking about this.
Wow. What a perfect year to talk about it.
What a perfect year to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think it was 84. It was in the 80s for sure. But it's a fascinating... You've never seen it?
No.
You should watch it.
I've never heard of this.
This guy. What's his name? Former KGB agent named Yuri Alexandrovich Bezmenov claimed in 1984 that Russia had a long-term goal of ideologically subverting the U.S. He described the process as a great brainwashing that has 4 basic stages. The first stage, he said, is called demoralization, which would take about 20 years to achieve. It's really fascinating. When you hear him talk, it's fascinating because that's exactly what they did.
But I don't know if they did it. I think it's definitely been done. But did it come from Russia? And how did it come from Russia?
Well, he'll explain it. He used the example of the 1960s hippies coming to the positions of power in the 1980s in government and businesses in America. Bezmenov claimed this generation was already contaminated by Marxist-Leninist values. Of course, this claim that many baby boomers are somehow espousing KGB-tainted ideas is hard to believe, but Bezmenov's larger point addressed why people who have been gradually demoralized are unable to understand that this has happened to them. Referring to such people, Bezmenov said, they are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information. If you prove that white is black and black is black, you still cannot change the basic perception and logic of behavior. Demoralization is a process that is irreversible. Bezmenov actually thought back in '84 that the process of demoralizing America was already completed. It would take another generation and another couple of decades, here we are, to get the people to think differently and return to their patriotic American values, claimed the agent. In what is perhaps the most striking passage in the interview, Bezmenov described the state of a demoralized person. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who is demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him a concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he has a kick in his fan bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand. But not before that. That's the tragedy of the situation of demoralization.
I still don't understand how this got from Russia into us.
He explains it in the interview. It's a long interview.
Because
he explains what they did and how they...
It's certainly possible because, I mean, colleges have become so left-wing. I mean, there's no diversity on college campuses.
Yeah, none.
Especially the elite schools,
right,
which turn out the people who then control the media.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones who go into the places, organs of government, organs of media, that are most influential in our society.
Yeah.
So it's coming from, and of course, they teach Marx. Andrew Sullivan wrote a great piece about this about 6 months ago. They teach, Karl Marx is one of the most taught economists in all these elite colleges. And of course, a lot of what Karl Marx was about would never pass muster with anyone who's woke. He was a horrible racist. Very few of his beliefs were something that they would countenance today. Same thing with Che Guevara.
Right.
Terrible person.
Well, he had the look, though.
He looks great on a T-shirt.
Che Guevara posters and T-shirts.
T-shirts.
Yeah.
They think these people are heroes.
Yeah.
And sadly, because colleges turn out nothing but America-hating hysterics these days, ignorant, just ahistorical students who are not taught any of the things I used to be taught of in school, partly because we had the sin of learning what white people did. You know, I mean, I'm sorry, but John Stuart Mill was white. He had some good ideas. But, you know, Shakespeare, you know, it's okay to, you know, you can be anti-racist and still study some great white people. But, you know, some of that is just outre on college campuses these days. But
how do you think that happened?
that's a great question, and I'm sure somebody did write a book, or somebody should write a book about that. I mean, obviously it's slow and over time, and yeah, I don't know. But
well, there's a guy in 1984 that saw it coming.
Yeah.
If you listen to, I'll send it to you. You should listen to it.
But it's fascinating. Like something like a third of students think, people under 25 or something, think communism might be worth another try. Because again, if you don't learn the past,
right,
then you don't know. And if you just discount anything old people like us say, what would you know? Well, we were around when communism was around, and we know it's horrible. There was no greater nightmare visited upon humans than communism. And by the way, the reason Russia is still such a basket case is because the legacy of communism. When you fuck with people's minds the way they did, they're like Russia today is like a kid who was abused as a child. They're just not going to be whole as an adult for quite a while.
Yeah, I just can't understand how the institutions of higher learning wouldn't understand the value of rigorous discourse, the value of even having conservative speakers come in where you could debate with them. When I was a kid, when I was 14 years old, Barney Frank had a debate with a guy from one of those like hard right America. I forget what it was called. I forget what organization he was in, but it was, you know, some sort of Tea Party type thing.
On campus?
Yeah. And when I was in high school. And it was fascinating because they allowed these two people to speak, and, you know, the America First guy or whatever he was, whatever the company, whatever the group he was a part of, spoke, and it was kind of clunky, and then Barney Frank was brilliant. It was eloquent. It was funny. It was great. He was awesome.
Love him. And,
you know, you got a great sense of walking out of there, oh, his ideas make more sense. His ideas were better.
Right.
And that is discouraged. Now you don't want to platform people with the wrong ideas, which is just like, there's only one way to find out if they're the wrong ideas. You test them. You test them against better ideas, and everybody learns that way. And when I was a kid, people understood that.